Hey guys, didn't see you there. William Flea here, your local Black Templar representative. So, today we're on this somber Halloween morning. I'm here to tell you about the breaking of the legions and the Horus Heresy that sundered the Grand Imperium 10,000 years ago. It all started long ago at the very birth of the Imperium, when the God Emperor of mankind created 20 sons in his image, each of them to represent a different aspect of his will. Examples are the glorious Primarch of the Black Templars and the Imperial Fist, Rogel Dorn, who was to represent the Emperor's undying will. Gilliman, who was to represent the Emperor's amazing leadership skills. Angron, represent the Emperor's pure anger and combat abilities. And Magnus, to represent his intelligence and thirst for knowledge.
And it's a commercial break. Miller beer.
You
Miller
got
beer.
the time, we got the beer. Miller beer. It's also my mom's birthday. Mom, tell everyone happy birthday.
Happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to Mom. Woo, she's very spooky on Halloween.
Bye.
Bye. So anyway, when the Emperor first created these, the evil Chaos people stole the Emperor's children and scattered them across the Imperium to the 1,000 different planets where they would all grow up differently. This would end up being very bad for the Imperium. And why this would be bad comes in later, when the Emperor is no longer present. So the Great Crusade has happened, and for 1,000 years, or however long it's been, the Emperor is out reclaiming the planets of humanity that were lost in the tide of the warp, and reuniting them into a grand human empire called the Imperium of Man. While on these raids, he would stumble upon planets with Primarchs, and he would give them all legions. The first son he found was Horus Lupercal, who would lead the legion known as the Luna Wolves. He was the Emperor's favorite, the first one, the firstborn of the Emperor, and his most prized son. When the crusade had gone on for a long time, the Emperor was going to return to Terra to complete the Webway project in order to find a way to travel throughout the galaxy without using the terrors of the warp. And so he made Horus War Master and leader of the Great Crusade in his absence. Though the gods of chaos, the bitch-ass chaos gods that they are, were afraid the Emperor was conquering the galaxy with his imperial truth, was wiping away any chance of them having worshippers, dooming them to death. So they did what they rarely do, and they actually worked together for once, because they thought the Emperor was too OP. And with their combined power, they turned the Emperor's son, his most favored son, Horus, to chaos. Horus would then begin to see descent in the ranks. Each of the Primarchs grew up on different planets, and each had different ambitions and different things. Most of them didn't like Magnus, because Magnus was a psyker. Good examples are Lehman. Lehman Russ came from a world where he was raised by wolves, where martial prowess was valued as highest, not magical ability of learning, so they always had a deep rivalry. Horus would make these rivalries come to the extremes and use those that the Emperor had forgotten, or perhaps not treated the best. Another example would be leader of Pertobalo of the Iron Warriors, a forgotten son who did everything that his Emperor asked of him, but then was bypassed in favor of our father, Rogel Dorn. He's the best one. And so, using these descents in ranks and trickery, he began to split the legions away and sway some to his side. The most notable, Angron, who was too angry to realize anything, and he just said, "You gotta go kill stuff," so he joined him. Magnus, who was tricked into joining him, essentially, against his own will, and so very reluctantly fought. Pertobalo, the only one with a real reason to join, because he was an outcast and set aside. And to this day, he is really the only one with any amount of sanity in him, besides, obviously, Magnus, because Magnus is just really sitting reading books. He's very intelligent. And then there was Fulgrim, who basically got possessed by a sex sword, essentially. And now he is just sex obsessed, essentially. And they would all turn into weird demons. Angron is just an angry dragon man. Fulgrim's a snake guy. Magnus is a big one-eyed cyclops. Pertobalo, he hasn't really changed. He's just got a lot of machinery. Anyway, so the Horus Heresy happens, and the legions are sundered. At Istvan 3, in the Istvan system, where a lot of stuff would go down, the traitor Primarchs knew not their whole legions would follow them, and there were many that didn't. And so they were tricked into a battle there. But luckily, some of the Emperor's children, Fulgrim's legion, warned them of an impending nuclear assault to wipe them out, and so they hid away And then a brutal battle happened where the Chaos Legions were sundered by the loyal Imperialists. The last loyalists of the traitor chapters. It was there where one man would make himself known and go down as perhaps the greatest of any of the loyalist Chaos Legions. A man called Rylanor. We'll have a separate thing on Rylanor, but all you need to know is that he basically held them off for a very long time, but would end up getting his revenge on Fulgrim later. Then, Istvan 5 happened. Again, in the Istvan system, loyalist Space Marine legions were called there by the traitor legions. And at the Istvan 5 drop site massacre, many dropped in the battle into ambushes where they were brutally murdered. Many legions were spread out across the galaxy. The Salamanders, the Imperial Fists, the Ultramarines. The Imperial Fists made it to Holy Terra in time before Horus would arrive there, because Horus wanted to kill his father, claiming the Imperium for himself and for the Chaos gods that he served. So, the Imperial Fists and other loyal chapters like the Salamanders were there, holding off and outnumbered against Chaos armies of demons and such. The travails became very tough. Horus himself lowered his shield and challenged the Emperor. So Rogel Dorn, the Blood Angels also on the planet, led by Sanguinius, and the Emperor boarded the flagship Sanguinius did not return, slain by his own brother in combat. The Emperor, mortally wounded, but killing and banishing Horus, who is now known as the Arch-Traitor, whose name is not to be spoken. His legion, the Lunar Wolves, completely destroyed, decimated, obliterated, ruined. There's only one Lunar Wolf that remains, and that is Horus's successor, Abaddon the Despoiler, the Arch-Traitor, the next Arch-Traitor, the Black Master of the Black Crusades, the last Lunar Wolf. He stays in the safety of the warp, planning his machinations, waiting to get his revenge. Horus was slain, the Emperor was wounded and forced to be placed upon the Golden Throne where he rested his day, guiding the Imperium by lighting the Astronomicon, allowing safe travel through the warp by Imperial vessels. Many of the Primarchs would then go their separate ways without the Emperor to unite with them. Only one loyalist Primarch remains in active service as of this moment, and that is Gilman, the creator of the Codex. Codex. Bullshit, that's what that is. So he's the only active one. Now, Fulgrim is too busy having sex. Angron's too busy raiding everyone. Magnus just wants to kill the Space Wolves because they basically destroyed his home planet. And Pertbalo is just very sad, creating war machines and generally doing okay stuff against the war guys. Then there's the Alpha Legion ones. We don't know where they are. They basically disappeared. Lehman Russ traveled into the Eye of Terror in the warp looking for a cure for the Emperor. Rogel Dorn disappeared after a battle, only with his hand being found. The leader of the Salamander Legion, he basically became like a half-orc. Anyway, he would disappear and he would come back at many different times, just disappear, come back. He came back and he defeated an Orc Crusade, and we don't know where he is now. Gilman got mortally wounded. Then some Eldar bitches revived him, and now he's running around, probably having sex with Eldar girls and all sorts of things, being the Grand Master of the Imperium. Corvus Corax, I think he got turned into the half-demon. He's just prancing throughout the galaxy trying to hunt down, I think it's a Lorgar, who's trapped on his homeworld, essentially, while a half-demon Corvus Corax keeps him trapped. Then there's the Lionel Johnson, who sleeps under a big rock. He's most likely to return soon, and maybe save the Imperium by reforming the legions. Anyway, so that is the story of the Horus Heresy, how the Emperor was mortally wounded, how the Primarchs would betray the other Primarchs. All of this would lead to, ultimately, Gelman deciding that the legions shouldn't exist anymore, splitting them up into chapters of 1,000 men, which is a very bad idea. Luckily, as Black Templars, we have about a legion, we have a chapter of about 6,000 men, which is about half a legion. So do the Salamanders. So we spit on Gilman and his words, hoping to continue the Great Crusade. We're the only ones that continue the story of the true Emperor, reconquering the galaxy, keeping 10,000 man strong legions. Hope is not lost, though. Everything could be good. Some men could come back. Lehman Russ might come back. Corvus Corax might stop being an angry demon. Primarch come back too once he gets Lorgar. Lionel Johnson's definitely coming back. And perhaps the Chaos guys can be cast aside and the Emperor made ascended. Now remember, join the Black Templars today. In a previous video, I linked my username and the username of our High Marshal. Remember, join up, keep calm, crusade on. May the sun shine on the Imperium forever.